Hello, fellow gypsies and spiritual wanderers. This is Mocha Gypsy, and today I want to speak about surviving the coming economic depression, recession, whatever you want to call it. This is something that I believe is being done by design. I believe that this is spiritual warfare, and I want to talk about some ways of how we can get through it. And I believe that we can get through it. Most of us can get through it. And the short answer to the solution is all of us. All right? Look to your left, look to your right, look at your neighbors, the people in your community, your family, if you're close with them at all, your social media, everyone on your friends list, your followers. We are it. So what do I mean by that? We're all in this together, and we all need to rely on each other. Okay? This Western concept, especially in the United States, of rugged individualism, I now believe is another tool of the elites to keep us separated and more dependent on the system. You know, I now live in Costa Rica, as a lot of you may know, and they don't share that same value. It's more, everyone's more interdependent on each other for survival. More open to helping one another out, whether that person's within their family or outside of their family. It's just a totally different mindset. Okay? So the solution is us, each other. Everything starts and ends with us. We're our own saviors. Okay, and what I'm going to talk about is what that looks like. What does that look like? So I have some notes here of 10 solutions and how that can be implemented or explored to be implemented in our own lives and with people within our group and even outside our group. Okay. So let me just go into this real quick into my notes. All right. So the first, one of the solutions that we have here is something called a sou-sous. All right. Let me first find my notes here. All right. So a sou-sous. This is something that's more commonly done in Caribbean cultures and African cultures. I think some Latin cultures as well. And what it is a traditional community-based saving system where there's a group of people and they pool their money together. And each member takes turns receiving a lump sum. And this structure can provide emergency funds, capital for small business, and resources for anything in life, any emergency that may come up, like educational needs or healthcare. All right, and so the key benefits of that is, you get to build trust within the group. You get to build trust within the group. There's accountability within the group where, you help each other ensure that everyone participates and benefits. And in tough economic times, this could be an alternative to banks, which might limit loans, deny loans, or charge like crazy high interest rates. So that's an alternative to that. So how that's actually implemented, you organize the sou-sou with people that you trust, and you have clear rules and boundaries and schedules. All right, so it encourages savings that build community resilience. Now, the trust thing is very important, because I remember, like, back in the day, my mom, she entered into one where the pot was like $5,000. All right, and that's a large sum. Not everyone can contribute to that, but each sou-sou has its own, like, pot amount. And with my mom and her friends, her circle of friends, it was $5,000. And her boyfriend at the time was in on it, and he, like, screwed everyone over. Okay, everyone contributed, each month, who benefited, and when it came to him, he just, like, basically took the money and ran. So, but for others where they do have a network of people they can trust, it's something that can work very beautifully. It is something that has helped people have a leg up in starting a business, saving them financially, economically, when they actually needed it. It's something, if trust is an issue, you can do like what a friend of mine did and start small. She organized about like 20-25 women together, and just almost like a test run, just had it be like every week, everyone puts up $1 to whoever's turn it was to get the pot that week, and she was able, through doing that, she was able to weed out those who weren't serious from those who were responsible, had clear boundaries, followed the rules, and now she has a core of people on her list, of women on her list, who she can rely on to have the next sou-sou at a much larger amount, which can actually help more women. Okay, so the next one, which is something that I'm very big on, is intentional communities and co-living. And basically how that works is forming intentional communities where people live together, share resources, support each other. And, basically that could be like a powerful way to mitigate the impacts of an economic depression or recession. So co-living arrangements can reduce housing costs, can share on food production or food buying, and allow for skill sharing within the community. And the key benefits of that, you get to pool resources like food, utilities, skills, labors, other bills, reduces the individual costs and increases the overall sustainability of that housing arrangement. You can have community gardens, shared vehicles, group childcare. That's a big one, especially for us single mothers. And that's just a few examples. These communities, they could be centered around anything. Usually people tend to do that around spiritual or religious practices. You have a lot of like New Age communities or eco communities or certain Christian communities and such. But it doesn't have to be around that. It could be just anything. It could be all single moms, or people who share same ideology, or it could just simply be people who wish to be with like-minded people in any other way. All right. it's, in a way, it's kind of like a replacement of a family. This was like a perfect solution if you're not close to your family. Like, I'm not particularly close to my family, not by a long shot. So something like that really appeals to me. I remember, like, way back in the day, like in the late 90s, I kind of, before I even knew that this was a thing, I sort of like asked, I'd like sort of like shipped that the idea to my family when I was closer to them. My mom had a nice house in the suburbs and made good money. My aunt lived in another suburb in her house and made good money. My uncle and his wife lived in the city, and I was, just out there somewhere renting. And I just said, it would be great if, like, we all, like, together, like, just bought, like, one big house, or had, like, one compound where we could just, like, pool our resources. And instead of you paying a mortgage and you over there paying a mortgage and me entering into a mortgage or something, why don't we just all, like, just pool together like a family, and we don't have to worry that much about childcare, and we can buy our food in bulk, and and we're just closer together as a family. And they like sort of like laughed at me, but I guess that fell apart, that idea. for that was meant to fall apart, and for good reason. But yeah, that's something that could really work out, with the right people, okay, with the right mindset and the same goals. Okay, so how to implement that? All right, encourage, start bouncing that idea off of people who you think that you might want to do this with, like-minded friends, like-minded family, even neighbors if you like them. And you can look into co-housing models. There's lots of co-housing communities, lots of villages, self-sustained communities where people grow their own food, and or pool their resources together in some way. There's actually an online directory where you can find such communities globally, even find a place locally wherever you are now. And the website is called ic.org. I as in igloo, C as in cat.org. And I'll probably put the link in the comments section for you guys to take a look at. But the sky's the limit. You can look at all sorts of co-housing models, or you could start your own thing where you could purchase land together and do collective homesteading, things like that. And, with people that you like, you build trust and establish shared values. And and that's the goals to making this whole thing work. The bottom line is interdependence, where you don't find yourself in a place where you have to depend on a system which may or may not come through for you. And with these last couple of disasters that we've had, and seeing the FEMA response, the government response, it's safe to say that our government doesn't really care about us, or at least not to the extent that we think that they should. So let's put it that way. All right, so the third thing, interdependent networks. So a lot of people won't be able to live in an intentional community. So, but what they can still do is form interdependent networks of trusted individuals, And these networks could involve trading skills, sharing resources, providing mutual aid when someone faces a hardship. Okay, so you may not, live close to the people in your networks, but you have a network of people within your town, within your state, maybe even globally through social media or whatever, and you have like this understanding that you're going to be there for each other as needed. There's an element of trust. Maybe they may be people that you've never met in person before, but you have a rapport with them, and you know that you can rely on each other and help each other in any way you can, if and when that need arises. Okay, so the key benefits to this system, okay, it allows for greater flexibility. For example, a person skilled in gardening could trade food with someone who has carpentry skills, while another provides childcare. It's about basically you're building a barter system or gift economy within a trusted circle of people. Again, irrespective of where they physically are. Okay. So how you implement that, you can suggest starting a local network where people can exchange services or goods. Expand this to include more people who may not live near you, but you can rely on in times of need. So online platforms or community meetings, or Facebook groups, whatever, Telegraph groups, whatever works for you. And you can find others with those complementary skills and resources. All right. Okay, so number 4, local and self-sustaining economies. Okay, so what's that? Okay, so you can encourage the creation or join one that's already established. A local economy where people prioritize supporting small local businesses and barter or trade services within their community. And this can strengthen the local economy and reduce reliance on large, vulnerable systems. Okay? And what that does, it basically creates a bubble of protection in that town or small geographical area where that no matter what happens on the outside world, like, the supply chain breaks down, the banks might collapse or whatever, the people within that town or that part of town, whatever, their system more or less will still be functioning as its own little sleeper cell economy. And I've actually seen this in action. During my RVing days, I went through Yellow Springs, Ohio. It was very interesting going through that town. I stayed there maybe 1 or 2 days actually. Dave Chappelle happens to live there. His family happens to live there. And they really have this system down pat where everything is about local, spending local, producing locally. That's probably why Dave Chappelle moved there, okay? Because he's awake about a lot of things. And their system, that town is so tight with their economy that they even have their own currency, all right? Of course, you can still use American dollars, use your debit or credit card, but the people who live there are highly encouraged and do use their own currency. And their system is pretty tight and safe. Okay, so the key benefits. All right, so you're keeping money circulating within the community. It supports local entrepreneurs and keeps everyone employed. And it also reduces reliance on global supply chains that may become disrupted during economic crisis, as I mentioned before. And that's the goal. That's the goal, because we're in uncertain times right now, and the U.S. or wherever you live could collapse tomorrow, but your town still has a leg or two to stand on. Okay, and that's the idea, to keep you and your children fed, to still have your standard of living more or less. Okay, that's very important. All right, so how you implement this? Right, you advocate for the creation of local markets, CSAs, community supported agriculture programs, or co-ops, and these initiatives help ensure access to food and goods while fostering a resilient local economy. All right, and I'm sure there's videos on YouTube in more detail about how to set this up. Okay, and everything else too of what I've listed here, and going to talk about. Okay, so number 5, skill building and diversification. All right, so how that works, in times of economic hardship, having a range of skills can be more valuable than traditional employment. And people can barter skills, services, or goods when money becomes scarce or less reliable. Okay, so the key benefits of that is being able to grow your own food, make or repair clothing, or fix things around the house that can help you become more self-reliant. Okay, sharing or teaching these skills within a community increases the resilience of everyone involved. And how to implement this: encourage people to start learning or refining practical skills now. So organize community workshops, classes, or skill sharing events. More diverse the skill set within the community, the more everyone can support each other. And skills are very important. It's very important, especially with the economic decline or depression in mind. Like, for instance, like some skills that I know personally. I know how to can food. I know how to can meats. I know how to, can vegetables, fruits. I know how to dehydrate foods for storage. I know how to hunt. I know how to hunt. I know how to dress a dare, butcher chickens. All those things are things that matter. And I know basic gardening. So, so I know how to grow things. I also know how to do some urban gardening too. I had a whole garden on my apartment deck when I lived in the city. All those things matter and would be valuable for other people to know. Carpentry skills are very valuable too. Anything within building, constructing, plumbing. I mean, all those things makes a big difference, and could translate into either money or being in demand within an intentional community, so to speak. Because I know of some intentional communities, actually one in particular, a while back, that I was thinking of joining. This here in Costa Rica a long time ago. And they said, oh, they're not accepting any more families or whatever. However, they are looking for someone who has carpentry skills. So it's not even a matter of your money being good. It's what can you do to add to this community in a practical way, so we can be a more self-sustaining unit. So just something to keep in mind. What skills do you feel is valuable? Ooh. All right. So number 6. Okay. Number 6, food security in the form of community gardens and local farming. Okay, and how this works. Okay, so food insecurity, especially with rising prices, inflation, just everything that's going on. Food insecurity. It's like a major concern, especially during these times we're in. Okay, so by growing food locally, whether in backyards, community gardens, small farms, people can become less dependent on grocery stores and global supply chains. We have that trucker strike. In the U.S. I'm no longer there. I'm not even sure how that ended. If those unions, if they got what they wanted or what, but things like that could really mess up your life and put you in a very insecure position when it comes to food and supplies. All right, so by having everything as local as possible, growing your own food, community growing their food, it helps protect against things like that. And also raising your food too. Chickens, goats, having your own cows, or knowing a rancher, all those things matter. So the benefits of growing your own food, it reduces costs right off the bat. It can also become a source of trade or income within a community. And sharing the excess produce or working together on larger community garden projects strengthens bonds and ensures that no one goes hungry. And that's very important. Actually, during my RVing days, when I settled in Oklahoma City for a while, there was this older man and his wife, and they had lots and lots of land. He was a farmer, but he had all this extra land. And what he was proposing to do was give each interested person who was interested in working with him like a half acre of land. It was either a half acre or a quarter acre. Either way, that's a lot of land for just one person. And he said that you could put a small home on it, like a tiny house or a little trailer or something like that. But the deal was you had to grow something on it, grow or produce something on that land. He didn't want rent or anything like that. All he asked for on this quarter acre of land that you could basically live on for free is that you give him 10% of your produce or whatever you produce. And that was it. And now looking back, this was like 12 years ago. Looking back, I think what he was really doing was low-key building his own community of people he could trust for times like this. Because he obviously wasn't about the money. What he was about was, it seems to me, forming a community and having food coming in to his house, which was pretty good. Okay, so how you implement this? All right. right? You promote the idea of community gardening or neighborhood farming. Start small by growing food in pots or organizing a group to plant in a shared space. So if you're like in an urban area, any like unused land, like abandoned parking lot where you have permission from the city to use that as a community garden or something like that, you know, or you know, if in an urban area, if you know, you can get permission from your landlords to have a garden on the rooftops, you know, just to be something creative that just gets the job done. All right, because urban gardening, it can happen. It's a thing, and if you live in the suburbs, even easier. You know, you can have like chickens in your backyard, and even if the zoning doesn't allow for that, you know, as long as you don't have any roosters, you can probably sneak chickens in your backyard and give your neighbors some eggs so they don't rat on you or something. You know, just you know, things like that. Just be creative. Okay. All right. So number 7. All right. Mutual aid networks. Let's see something here. Okay. Mutual aid networks. Okay, so how this works. Okay, mutual aid networks involve groups of people who come together to help each other with basic needs, whether it's food, shelter, medical care, or emotional support, without relying on government or large organizations. Okay, so again, the idea is to be self-reliant, for us to rely on each other, because the government has been telling us in more ways than one that we are not a priority. We're not. So we have to be each other's priority. We have to be there for each other. So I'm just hitting that home again. All right. So the key benefits: these networks allow people to take care of one another during times of crisis without waiting for outside help, outside government help. They foster a sense of solidarity, ensure that everyone has their basic needs met, and create stronger bonds within a community. Okay, and how to implement this? All right, organize mutual aid groups where people can contribute resources or offer help. Even something as simple as sharing a meal, offering transportation, or donating clothes can make a huge difference. All right. And I looked online. There are some online mutual aid networks, platforms that you can look into. Possibly there's directories on there where you can find one in your area, or one that's like just an online platform, and they also have ways of how you can start your own. Okay, so number 8, time banking and barter systems. Okay, so how it works. Time banking is a system where people trade hours of work instead of money. And for every hour someone spends helping another person, whether it's cooking, babysitting, teaching a skill, they earn an hour that they can use to receive a service from someone else in the network. Okay, and I've seen this before. Like there's website platform, like there's one called Barter Bucks. There was this lady I knew who was like on there all the time, receiving stuff, getting stuff, so it is something that can be done, and also can be done within a network. Okay, so time banking fosters trust and reciprocity, and make sure everyone has access to services they need, even when money is tight. And how you implement that is discuss how to set up a local time bank with clear structures on how hours are recorded and exchanged. And this could start informally among friends and family and then expand to the broader community. So yeah, and it all comes down to people you can trust or build trust with, be organized, clear boundaries to make this work, just as with anything else when you're working with others and interdependent on others. Okay, so number 9, community-owned assets. All right, so how it works. All right, so in tough economic times, pooling resources to collectively own assets, whether it's housing, land, vehicles, or tools, can make a big difference. Shared ownership of essential assets reduces the financial burden on individuals while benefiting the whole group. Okay, so the key benefits, community-owned assets like co-op housing, shared cars, or communal gardens can provide stability and ensure access to essential resources without individual financial strain. So as you probably guessed, some of these solutions overlap with some of the previous ones, and that's actually a good thing. All depending on how you want to participate and how you would like to help financially protect yourself and your family. These are going to overlap a bit. Okay, so the key benefits of this is community-owned assets like co-op housing. How to implement it. Okay, so encourage people to look at models like co-housing groups, tool libraries, or community land trusts. These type of systems ensure that essential resources remain available to everyone even during economic downturns. Okay, so it's just the benefit of the many, risk of the few type of thing, where there's always something needed that's available to you and everybody else. You just basically pay into the system by anything that you may have to offer that you're willing to share with the community, and have that interdependence and protection that way. Okay, and so now we're at the final one, 10, which is often overlooked, but just as important, emotional and mental resilience. Okay, we're going through a lot of changes. The system is showing us who they really are and how they regard us, and our safety and our welfare. And the answer is they don't. So there's going to be a lot of changes that are happening faster by the day, and that's going to be a lot to take for a lot of people, especially when we're talking about our lifestyle changing, our quality of life, standard of living possibly changing. Everything's going to be up here. Okay. So emotional and mental resilience. Right? So how this works, surviving an economic depression isn't just about practical measures. It also involves maintaining emotional and mental strength, encouraging people to come together for support, whether through regular community check-ins, group therapy, or mindfulness practices, such as meditation or any other type of religious or spiritual practices that bring a sense of peace to people and reaffirm that sense of community and feeling supported. Those are really big deals and that are often overlooked when people are talking about surviving disasters, surviving economic hardships, prepping and all that. Everyone's talking about, the beans, bullets, and band-aids and things like that, but often missing that component, because if you don't have your mental, everything else can easily fall apart. Okay? So, key benefits in times of crisis. Having a strong community network can provide the emotional support people need to stay grounded, and also prevents isolation, which can worsen stress and mental health issues. Okay, and one of the worst things about going through the stress of any crisis, especially an economic one or possible one, the threat of an economic crisis in your life, is the feeling that you're all alone and you don't have, if things go wrong, you don't have anyone to support you, and if you have children, that feeling is even doubly so, Okay, so how to implement this? All right, so suggest creating local support groups, even online, and where people can share their struggles and solutions, and that's big. Okay, regular check-ins help people feel connected and supported regardless of their financial challenges they're facing. All right, so that's it. That's the 10 ways to survive this coming economic depression, recession, and the answer is us. What we have is each other. And the worst thing we can do is be isolated in our own bubble, trying to stay on this hamster wheel. Okay? That's exactly where they want us. That's why they've always pushed this rugged individualism, which is so anti-nature, anti-human, anti-family, anti-God, anti-spirit, because if we're isolated in our own little homes, our own little apartments, running on that hamster wheel, as they're throwing obstacles in our way, they can control us. But if we get together, not only just in spirit, but pool ourselves, our resources, our energy, and just, band together in a practical way as well, we'll get through this. We'll get through this spiritual battle. So anyhow, tell me, guys, what you think. And let me know if you found this to be helpful. Hopefully this has, anything on this list has sparked your interest to look deeper into it and actually help you in a practical way. Let me know what you think of this list. So that's it. Run with it, and we'll get through this together. Be blessed.